But society will surely stagnate, right? I mean, we will just have a bunch of old people taking everyone's places. There won't be any place for the younger generations.
Right. So this is okay. We're
no new ideas.
The stagnation argument. Yeah. So okay, we're leaving overpopulation. Okay, stagnation. Will society stagnate if we develop longevity drugs? Many people seem to think so, and this sort of touches upon the state of U.S. politics, where everyone is kind of old, and there are like negative side effects. Like people don't think that's a good thing.
But the age of these two gentlemen, at least one of them, is maybe not the main problem.
Granted, yeah, that's right. But it's sort of on top of everybody's mind now. Okay, so would society stagnate, like in terms of scientific output, or like dynamism? Like would it just sort of ossify? This is an empirical question that we do not know the answer to. There has been a lot of books written about this, scientific, sci-fi books. Some claim that this would happen. Some claim that it will not happen. In my book, I sort of say, look, we really don't know. We can't be sure how this affects society. Predicting how a society is going to change is like extremely difficult. It's much easier to model a cell, and that's hard. Okay, so we really don't know. So I think we will need to develop these drugs, and we will have to start using them, and we will have to see. Okay, if it turns out to be the case that something extremely bad, perhaps some sort of chronic stagnation, occurs in society, well, okay, we'll have to ban these drugs, I suppose. We will have to stop using them. But then again, you would sort of have to take a step back here and ask yourself, why do we consider aging a problem at all? Okay. And, we have to compare it to the status quo, if you will. And this is quite terrible. 110,000 people die every day. Perhaps we should sort of open with this, like, why is aging a problem? I mean, in my mind, it's so obvious, but most people don't know these statistics. So between 70 and 90% of all people who die are due to aging. So objectively speaking, nothing else kills more people. Okay, that should be enough. That should be reason enough to sort of mount a societal effort to stop aging. It's about 110,000 per day of the 150,000 that die every day globally. And then again, aging causes practically all the major diseases in the developed world and in the developing world as well right now. And it causes an immense suffering. And we know this to be true. We know that this will continue to be the case if we do nothing. So any hypothetical argument against developing these drugs would have to be weighed against the certainty of the terrible, terrible state of affairs right now. So even if we sort of were 90% sure that stagnation would follow, I mean, okay, is that so bad that we would let 110,000 people continue to die every single day? You would sort of have to balance these towards each other. I personally do not think that stagnation would follow, because you could easily imagine. I mean, we have a market economy, and we have an inherent competition between scientists within the field of science in general. And if people sort of stick to their old ideas, they will just be outcompeted. So that's the main reason I don't think this is going to be a problem. And within politics, you can imagine having time limits to terms. You can imagine instigating similar policies in other areas. Perhaps that you're not allowed to be the leader of a company for more than 50 years or something like that. You have time limits. I mean, it's possible to imagine political and policy reforms that would address stagnation. And I think we should first, we don't know if it's going to be a problem. If it is a problem, let's try to solve the problem and not letting the solution number one should not be to kill 110,000 people every day. That should be like not solution plan A. Okay, so it's yeah.
It's I've been thinking about that number. We say it every time we're talking about this, and I think that people, they hear it and they have no visceral reaction whatsoever to that number. It's so astonishing. It's so big. It's like, I don't know. It's like 39/11s
Yeah, you can't see
every
the
day.
forest for all the trees. It's sort of like it's hard to conceptualize how big and how extremely bad this is. Yeah, I think you have a good point here.
It took a while for me to really internalize what Aubrey Gray used to say, that if we push if we solve aging and we do it one day earlier than we thought we could, we would save 100,000 lives. And it's really weird to think about it that way, but it's also actually really true.
Yes, I have to
Yeah,
confess,
but
I've been
it's
fighting. I hold this to be true, and I've been holding this to be true for like 10 years, and I've been fighting like it's a Sunday. Why aren't I working on the problem of aging? I could save 100,000 people if I just shorten that time with one day. So I've been feeling quite bad in certain periods of my life. But then again, like you have to be practical about things, and you have to be sort of design your everyday life so that you can continue, so you can sort of function over time. But I mean, this is objectively true.
There is another answer as well, and that is like, what do you mean by progress? I mean, the progress I want to see and experience is not aging and dying. I mean, if we can deliver that, then I don't care if the progress in other fields go a little slower.
Yeah,
I mean,
good point.
or actually, if I could, myself and everyone around me that I love, could have health and youth and life, I could live on the technological level of the 1950s, I would pick that. I mean, so isn't this not the measure of progress, really, that we are healthy and alive?
I totally agree. Totally agree. And yeah, to reiterate, we don't even know if stagnation would follow.
I think it's an ageist assumption, really, because I mean, if you look at societies with the highest life expectancy, they're also the most progressive societies in the world.
Yeah, that might be so. And I mean, you can
Denmark, Sweden, Japan, and so on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I tend to notice sort of, this is pure speculation now, when we're guessing how this would work out. You can sort of make a narrative that stagnation would occur, and you can make a narrative that it would not occur, and it would sort of sound reasonable. I think in the end, it's an empirical question, and we would have to just test it.